Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through the channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. If anybody's not aware of this is a journey with an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades, we do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In the previous video we looked at MMTLP and the focus was on grey markets. We also looked at ticker symbol CEI and also another potential squeeze stock, so please refer back to the previous video for those updates. In today's video we're going to be looking at MMTLP, and the focus on today's video is going to be updates from brokers, a very important and interesting update for Fidelity, and also we're going to be looking at a response from the SEC, so stay tuned for that. Let's first of all have a look at what's happening in the markets. There was some breaking news today. So headline here we can see Wells Fargo has been hit with a record $3.7 billion fine over mismanagement. So the consumer watchdog has ordered the bank to redress more than 16 million accounts affected by significant violations. So let's have a look at a history of violations from Wells Fargo. So we can see here they have approximately 229 violations going back to the year 2000. So that is quite a lot of violations, and they paid fines in excess of $22 billion. So in terms of the breakdown of these fines, these include financial offences in excess of 10 billion, consumer protection related offences in excess of 6 billion, competition offences in excess of 3 billion, government contracting related offences just over 1 billion, and employment related offences just below 900,000. So there's also toxic security abuses, banking violations, and those are in both combined in excess of $7 billion. So lots of violations here, but let's have a look at just a breakdown of what's happened in terms of the penalties. We can see the agency dealing with these offences include the Department of Justice, which is quite common, so we're hoping we get something there. We've got the Department of Justice rights section, the antitrust section. If we go further down, we can also see that there were also individuals who brought cases against Wells Fargo. So the key message here is if they can pay these fines, then obviously it should be the same treatment for all other offences. So the first update we're going to look at is with regard to Fidelity. So a shout out here to Craig Dubbs, who shared a recording from a Marduk Twitter space, so go ahead and check this out. It was quite fascinating. So also a shout out to Howard, which we're going to look at shortly in terms of a transcript of this recording. But basically the recording is looking at Fidelity, where a broker admits naked synthetics. So what I've shared with you here on the screen is a transcript of this conversation. So first of all, the Fidelity spokesman states here to Howard, "I'm looking at your profile and it looks like you have synthetic shares." So I'm sure Howard is quite astounded by this. So just for confirmation, Howard responds by saying, "So I have synthetic shares, correct?" And the Fidelity spokesman quite clearly states yes. So this is something we now have the recording for, and I think what's happened is basically the Fidelity spokesman has now admitted to selling synthetic or fake shares to Howard. So I'm not sure if this person still has a job. It will be interesting to see if he has or still has a job, and if he doesn't have a job, hopefully we can speak to him in one of the Twitter spaces and welcome him on board. So special thanks to Howard here. So I've stated here to Howard, great work Howard, your input will hopefully help many boats. So we now have this recording, and as far as I'm concerned, this is confirmation from Fidelity that they have been selling synthetic shares. What I like to do is get an update from the SEC. So before we look at a response from them, I'm going to share with you a post that I shared earlier today, and that was tagging in the SEC, and the questions posed to them were, first of all, do they think it's in the public interest to investigate, first of all, illegal trading of a stock, excessive naked shorts, using synthetic shares to drive down the price? We certainly saw that on the last day of trading. Shorts not closing their positions. Again, this is in breach of the rules set by the SEC. halting a stock without clear explanation. So again, the FINRA did halt the stock, and they quoted a rule, but they haven't explained it or responded to queries and questions about it. So we would like a clear explanation of that. And then obviously we know there was some trading of the stock after it was halted. So why did that happen? And these are some concerns here that I think and everybody else in the community thinks it is in the public interest to investigate. So I only added 5 here. So shout out here to Mark and Gary, who've had it on their own number 6. So let's have a look at Mark's number 6. So what he stated here is the market makers who just so happen to be on the board of FINRA, the DTCC, are allowed to illegally enforce documentation to set up a ticker on a totally different exchange, which is the OTC, that they oversee, illegally create fake counterfeit shares to be sold to retail. So good point here. And I think the question with regard to conflicts of interest is also, I think, something that definitely needs to be investigated. And there is substantial evidence of that, and all of it has been sent to the SEC. Also shout out here to Gary, who's added his own number 6, and he said, allowing brokers to turn off the buy and sell button whenever it's retail favor. For example, TD Ameritrade will restrict trade only when it's in the retail favor. This disgusting and abusive practice exactly why we need to stop shorting and enforce existing rules and laws. So it certainly seems to be the case that rules are applied when it suits them, but not when it suits the retail. So let's have a look at a standard reply here from the SEC. So this is in response to one of the investors who received a reply to a complaint. But what I can see from this response, it is a bog standard response with hardly any information of importance. But what they have said is, please note, SEC and self-regulatory organisations, not the SEC, so they're talking about FINRA here, determine whether to impose a trading halt in a stock. So they're washing their hands off it here. So yes, FINRA did halt the stock, but the SEC have the power to investigate. So remember, the SEC is the government organisation, whereas FINRA is not. So they're not obviously giving the response that we would like. And what they've also said here, information regarding FINRA and the halt is available on the link. So it's fairly pathetic response, and in my opinion, all the complaints and questions that we have raised with the authorities so far, I think we have been facing a wall of silence. So no clear answers, no clear explanations, nobody dealing with the questions, and the reason why I think nobody's giving clear answers is because if they were to provide an answer, they would be creating a problem for themselves, because the answer if they were to specifically answer any of our questions, it would lead them into trouble themselves. So it is a very difficult situation for them. They cannot answer any emails, they cannot answer any specific questions. Once they give a specific response, they're in trouble. Finally, what I'd now like to do is finish off by having an update with regard to what we covered in the previous video, and that is the grey market. So far what I have seen is no confirmation or evidence of any grey market trades. So let's have a look at what's happened with regard to Webull. So on the screen here, we can see that Webull have identified MMTLP on the grey, so it's highlighted at the top, but they've also changed the symbol to MMTLP-WB. And what we can also see here, confirmation from Webull in a post here, shout out to Peace and Love, who stated, MMTLP has been deleted, you'll receive the new shares MMTLP-WB instead, and it is trading on the grey market. So although they've stated it's trading on the grey market, I think so far from what I am aware of, no closeout positions or any sales have taken place, but we are still waiting and expect to get some updates on that hopefully soon. So the next broker here is IBKR. So what we can see here is they're using a different symbol, NXBR. So that's going to refer to NextBridge, but I think what's interesting on this one is the blue section in the middle, which is stating their request permission to trade. So if you are on IBKR, check that blue box there, request permission to trade, and maybe they may allow you on the grey market. So remember, the grey market is something that is not that certainly is, should we say, has less regulation, and is something that FINRA generally turn a blind eye to. And then finally, shout out here to Hollywood Henry in terms of finishing off on a message for everybody to continue the fight. And what he stated here is, retail investors, don't be afraid to ask your broker about securities you own or are considering. So this is in response to what we shared earlier with regard to Fidelity. So Rule 2111 requires brokers to disclose key information, including whether a security is synthetic. So we can certainly go ahead and ask our brokers, and feel free to use this rule 2111, and in terms of a key reminder. Finally, if anybody would like to get access to our weekly watch list as well as our daily stock alerts, and participate in live trading discussions in our Discord, you can certainly join us for less than $9 a month. Information is available in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.